rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2218. Today we're celebrating the annual Scottsdale, Arizona auctions that takes place the week of January 21st through the 29th. In today's show, we'll learn all about Bonhams Scottsdale auction, and that takes place January 26th at the beautiful Westin Kierland Resort and Spa. To learn more, go to bonhams.com. Get your bidder cards ready. We're going to have some fun today. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in beautiful Marina Del Rey, California, with a returning guest, a longtime friend, Jakob Greisen. Jakob, welcome back to Cars Yeah. Do you have any gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Thank you, Mark. I'm so excited to be back with you on this great show. I am in first gear and ready to pop the clutch.
All right, we're going to have some fun. And we're going to be talking about a very cool event. This is the 12th year for Bonhams being in Arizona during the auction week. And you guys have some very special cars, but I want to give you a proper introduction first so we can kind of set the tone here. And we're going to dive into, you got quite a lineup of vehicles. I can dream, and you guys definitely fulfill dreams. So let me give you a proper introduction. Jakob Greisen is the Bonhams Vice President, head of their U.S. motoring, and a Collectors Motorcar Specialist. Bonhams is a British auction house that was founded way back in 1793. It's one of the world's oldest and largest auctioneers, known internationally for fine art, antiques, jewelry, automobilia, motorcycles, and of course, motor cars. The auctions are held in conjunction with some of the most renowned global motoring events, including the Quail, the Goodwood Revival, and many, many others. Jakob holds memberships in numerous motoring clubs and is an avid enthusiast and collector of motor cars and motorcycles. And Bonhams will be back again this year celebrating their 12th annual Scottsdale auctions. It'll be taking place January 26, 2023, which is not that far away, so make your reservations, and it'll be at the beautiful Westin Kierland Resort and Spa. We'll be back in just a moment to learn what they've got up their sleeve. But first, a word from our sponsors, so give them a little love, and we'll be right back. Autumn has arrived, the weather's changing, and that means your vehicles need extra protection against everything Mother Nature can drop. Covercraft offers you a multitude of layers of protection for your special rides. Are you putting your summer toys away? Watercraft, RV, motorcycles, trailers, or even your patio furniture? Covercraft has a custom fit cover for whatever your need. Covercraft offers you 10 different car cover options. That's right, 10 for your special vehicle's protection, whether stored inside or out. All carefully crafted into the form and fit with the quality and attention to detail that's been their standard since 1965. And don't forget their custom fit seat covers, pet pad, Fido's going to get wet and muddy, I guarantee it, dash mats, sunscreens, and custom fit floor mats and trunk mats. Whatever the surface you want to protect, Covercraft has your solution. If you use the code YEAH21 at covercraft.com, you'll get 10% off your Covercraft order. That's right, 10% off. Simply use the code YEAH21 at checkout. Come on, Mother Nature, bring it on. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. I was tired of my rates for my collector car insurance going up every year for no explainable reason. My carrier seemed to be turning into a media company versus an insurance company, and I realized that a portion of my policy premium was paying for all those so-called free media goodies. So I did my homework, I talked to knowledgeable collectors, shopped around, and discovered American Collectors Insurance. They've been serving the collector car hobby since 1976. You last that long by properly serving your customers' insurance need, not with a lot of fluff. ACI is ranked the #1 online collector car insurance provider according to Google, Trustpilot, Facebook, and they offer their real person guarantee live support. No never-ending phone loops when you need help. Plus, because you don't use your classic car as a daily driver, you could save up to 40% compared to regular auto insurance. American Collectors Insurance provides agreed value policies. So if you experience a total loss to your collector vehicle or it's stolen, you'll be paid the amount listed on your declaration page, less any deductibles, of course. No ifs, ands, or buts. Give them a call today and ask for your free quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of mine, Mark Greens at Cars Yeah. American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. Fall is here, and you know what that means. Time to put a good coat of protection on your vehicle. I'm teamed up with Auto Geek, and they've been the leading source of auto detailing products, accessories, and expert knowledge for more than 20 years. What started back in 1997 as a small mail-order catalog company grew into a multi-website based e-commerce store, and that's what they are today. With a large online presence on its own website featuring close to 100 different brands, AutoGeek has grown to be the largest car care retailer in the country. AutoGeek's wholesale program serves accounts in over 30 countries, and its retail sector ships worldwide. If you want to protect your vehicle this fall, and you should, go to autogeek.net for the best product selection on the internet today and technical support. Autogeek.net is where I go for my detailing needs. That's autogeek.net. So Jacob, this year, 12th annual, this week in the desert is one of those weeks that people just migrate to. I think this is going to be a blowout because everybody's back up and traveling and enjoying things. And I wanted to touch on a few things before we dive into the actual cars you're going to be offering, because you've got quite a lineup. First of all, I want to talk a little bit more about you. How long have you been with Bonhams, and what does that title that I introduced with you or for you really mean for the customers that you serve?
Well, Mark, I've been with Bonhams just about 10 years. So in a few months from now, I've been with Bonhams for 10 years. And it's flown by very quick.
No kidding.
It's an exciting job. You get to meet a lot of interesting people, and most importantly, you get to work with a lot of great cars. I'm, really a car enthusiast at heart. I grew up in my dad was a Peugeot dealer over in Denmark. So I grew up with cars, and then, really got an affection for the classic cars and the vintage cars. Him and I bought an old MGA when I was 14 years old, and fast forward from 25 years, and here I am, and been lucky to meet the right people, and got to do what I do today.
So in your role there at Bonhams, I tell people about what you do, and they go, "Wait, there's like a real job doing that." Can you explain what it is that you do for your clients there at Bonhams?
Certainly. What I do and what we do at Bonhams, we consign and sell, collector cars at auction, which could be modern cars that are collectible. It could be, we sell very old cars. We have a very broad spectrum at Bonhams. A couple of weeks ago, we had an auction in England where all cars were from what we call the golden age of motoring, which is basically up to the 20s, and that's the 20s 100 years ago. So, very early cars, many that are eligible for the London to Brighton run. But I think what we do, we offer the service where we will consign a car, research it, market it to a very broad audience, and sell it for hopefully the highest price that can be achieved. It's a little bit like art at auction. An auction house, I think, is very helpful and necessary when you have something that, the price could be sort of more or less of what you think it is. Also, you really want to get it in front of the right people.
Yes.
You want to really make sure that it's marketed right, so you're not leaving money on the table, basically. We've seen many cars go up in value, some cars go down in value. And, I would say wholeheartedly, selling at an auction like Bonhams, you will get the full retail for the car, which ultimately is what most sellers are looking to do, to really maximize the potential of their car. The collective car world is really sort of driven by the individuals that own these cars, and they are absolutely enthusiasts and love their cars and use them, and it's not just an asset, but it is also an asset. I mean, it's a lot of money these cars are worth, and it's important to sell the car right. I think we also offer for the buyer some reassurance that the car is what we say it is. You can easily go wrong buying an old car. There's a lot of elements that might not be disclosed in some auctions and in a private sale if the sellers are maybe not knowledgeable enough or not ethical. So it is, because a car's value can swing drastically.
Yes.
When you start looking at, matching numbers of authenticity and things like that,
Well, it's a trusted name. I mean, Bonhams has just been around forever. And one of the things I find is when I go to your website, I get caught up in all the other things that Bonhams has for sale, not just cars, but art and jewelry and furniture. I mean, it just goes on. And all of a sudden I go, wait, I came here to look at cars. What am I doing in the furniture section? But this is so fascinating. But that's what Bonhams is. Bonham brings things to market that you typically would not see, and they're fully vetted, and you can feel confident in what you're getting. I wanted to get your impression on how you have perceived the 2022 collector car world, because we've seen since COVID struck, the collector car world kind of exploded. Well, it did explode in many, many cases. Values just shot through the roof. People were going, oh my gosh, I better get in now because I'll never be able to get in. Things have started to cool a little bit in some arenas. Now, you guys deal with very high-end cars, so that's a little bit different. But what has been your impression on the 2022 market?
So my impression is that the market is strong. It's very robust. Nothing has dropped significantly, but there are many sort of sub-markets. You will see that certain more modern cars from the 80s and 90s and 2000s even have risen drastically in price.
Oh, I know. It's incredible.
Yeah. And some of the more, maybe some pre-war cars have softened a bit. The 50s and 60s Ferraris, for example, which we were selling very well 10 years ago, or some of them have certainly softened up, but other ones have remained very strong. The sale I talked about earlier of cars made from 1920 and back, that was a very strong sale. We had cars that doubled and tripled the estimates. These were cars from 1902, 1903. So I think it's enthusiast driven. So sort of golden rule as I see the market right now, if the car made its mark on the era it was built and it's eligible and usable for events, there's a good chance that the market for that particular model is very strong. On the more modern cars, I would say there are some cars that are probably a little bit driven by speculators. Some of the more modern, sort of quite common cars that are very valuable have gotten a lot more valuable, and I don't always see those cars used a lot. And I think that is certainly more mindset of sort of investing in it, which has always been around, and it's around whenever you have an asset or something that becomes more valuable. You will have people that are investing in it, and it's not a bad thing. But I think at current the market is sort of very, it's in a good place because you have sort of an equal share of enthusiasm and investors that are sort of driving it. So it's a good balance, and it's cool to have an old car. People like old cars, and as long as they do, I think we're going to be in a good place.
I think so. Now, you've been around as long as Bonhams has been doing the Arizona auctions. This is their 12th year. You've been with them almost 10. So you've been to pretty much all the events. Is there a typical tradition with the Scottsdale auction for Bonhams that you see a theme happening, kind of a sense of feeling of what that auction is all about?
It's the beginning of the year. The snowbirds come down. There's normally a sort of a very optimistic atmosphere out there. I can't really say a certain kind of car sells well out there. I would say it's very much what we see in Amelia Island, in Monterey, and again in Scottsdale. It's sort of the same. It's sort of the top three venues of the calendar in the U.S. where you have international attendance, you have international bidding. You have all eyes on Scottsdale that week. So it's sort of a broad spectrum of cars that do well. And, I think it's really down to the individual car. And then our job is to have the right guys in front of it that wants it to get it done right, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And you're having this auction at the Westin, the Kierland Resort and Spa. It's a beautiful setting. So that adds a nice complement to the actual event of a wonderful destination where people can go out and spend multiple days and relax and enjoy and also have fun at the auction. Have you been there before? Has that been a regular venue that you attend?
We have been there every year for the past 12 years. Yep. And it is indeed a great venue.
It is. It's absolutely wonderful. So we talk about what's coming up here. There's a couple cars that I want to kind of dive into because you've got some really special cars, and there's a wonderful collection that we'll get to as well. But let's start with some of the cars you have for sale. One of them is a class winning from Pebble Beach, 1953 Seata 208S Spider. Oh, my heart be still. Tell me about that car. Wonderful car.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, they're such incredible cars. I've been fortunate to sell a few of them. Both, they made these cars alongside with Fiat. Fiat's model was called the Fiat Autoru, or the 8V, because it had an 8-cylinder engine, a beautiful little 2-liter V8 engine, all aluminum. The chassis is fully independent. The brakes are these great aluminum Alfin brakes, and that you could get them in different body styles, both badged by Seata or by Fiat. And the 208S Spider, in my opinion, is one of the most attractive of the 8V cars. The Supersonics is another favorite of mine by Kia. This is by Moto. So they were all coach-built cars, like a common thing in pre-war years, but post-war, it's really only the most prestigious chassis that were done bespoke coachwork, This car won its class in Pebble Beach this year. We all know it's pretty heavily scrutinized Concord judging there, so it is absolutely as good as it gets. It was done by Nino Epifani, who is one of the best restorers for, say, Italian sports cars. And it's a car you can do a lot of things with. You could take it on the Mille, probably on the Colorado Grand. You could show it again at concours around the world, or you can just drive it, and enjoy that V8 engine, the light steering, handling, and look like the Dolce Vita, pretty much.
Well, there you go. Sold. I'll take it. Another car I wanted to touch on is a 59 BMW 507 and a Series 2 Roadster. Wonderful cars, rare cars, just a delight. Yeah.
Oh, they're a little bit of the same thing. Also an all-aluminum V8 engine. BMW lost money on every one of them. They were making Isettas and very much economy cars at the time. The 507 was really to BMW to sort of show something to compete with their neighbors. Next time over in Stuttgart, Mercedes, who was making the 300 SL, of course. I've sold and driven several 507s and 300 SLs. The 507 is just a beautiful car. I mean, they just got the styling just right. A 300 SL is probably a little better engineered car. Again, Mercedes had won many races and things like that. BMW was not racing at this time, so they probably didn't have the same mechanical engineering technology, but the styling is just wonderful. And I mean, Elvis had one, which is a good reason to buy one.
Yeah, it was. I saw that car parked on the lawn at Pebble. It was white.
Yeah.
And somebody had kissed the fender, which was something that back in the day they said a lot of people did. I don't know if that was planned by the owner or some woman just went up and gave it a smack. So that was a wonderful car too.
That car's owned by BMW, by the BMW Museum these days. Actually, it lived in Northern California for a very long time with a collector who sold it to BMW. They only made 271, I believe, of them, and they're just lovely cars. Also, you can do many events with them. Fantastic cars. The car we're selling has rush wheels, which really changes the aesthetics, gives it a little more aggressive stance and sporty look. Yeah. Moving
a little bit newer here, you've also got a 2005 Porsche Carrera GT, which you don't see these come up that often. This car is pretty special.
It is indeed. Black from factory. It's got less than 5,000 miles, and it's a U.S. spec car, which is what you would want living in this country. You couldn't really get a European car, and they were all made between 2004, 5, and 6. One of the last sort of real, analog is the wrong word, but they're stick shift, they're extremely fast.
Yeah.
V10 engine, mid-mounted V10 engine, a car that has become a bit of an instant well, I wouldn't say instant collectible, because I remember 2007, 8, 9, when these cars were 3, 4, 5 years old, they were not trading for more than the MSRP really. And they made about 1,200 cars. So, there were a lot of them sitting around, but that has changed a lot.
Oh, yeah.
People
No
are looking
kidding.
back at these. Yeah, they've just become collectible, full-on collectible. There's actually a rally for these cars these days. And people look at these cars, they look back in the 50s and 60s. What are the most important cars that are now the most collectible, i.e. most valuable? And they will say, well, let's pick newer ones while they're still, affordable and get in early. And that's exactly what people have done with the Carrera GT. In the 2000s, that were really one of the cars that made its mark alongside the 959 from the 80s, like the F40, the F50. It was sort of Porsche's first really fully re-engineered, nothing in that car belongs in a 911 or a Boxster. It's everything was purposely made for just that model. They're extremely desirable and a thrill to drive, that's for sure.
No kidding. Now, we got to come back to the States here, a couple cars here before we take a short break. A 71 Corvette 454 ZR2 with a T-top, and you've also got a 71 Hemi Cuda that's come over from Europe. So tell me about those two rides.
That's right. They're actually both coming from Europe. The CR2, which is a very rare car, I believe only about 12 of them had that performance package. That's coming from the UK. It's been there in the same ownership for about 45 years.
Wow.
The Hemi Cuda, is coming from my native Denmark, actually, and I consigned it from the son of the original owner.
Wow.
So in 1971, he called Chrysler and ordered a Hemi Cuda, paid the money and got it over to Denmark. And it's believed that it's maybe the only one, or there was at least very few Hemi Cudas that were exported. Most of them were sold in the U.S. and remained here. But this car came to little Denmark and surely was able to pull away from anything on the roads over there. So that's pretty exciting to bring that car back.
Imagine one of those driving around Denmark.
Well, I can't.
That had to stand
They
out.
were driving Volvos and Saabs. It would have made quite an impression.
Yes.
In Copenhagen in 1971, that's for sure. So that's on a boat right now heading here.
I think so. We'll take a short break. Thank our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to talk about another very special collection that'll be at Bonhams, Arizona this year, the Ram's Head collection. So sit tight, keep your bidder card in your lap, and we'll be right back. You've heard me talk about Linkage Magazine here on Cars Yeah for a couple of years now. Well, they're growing. And in 2023, they're going to grow from 4 issues a year to 6. And there's an opportunity here for you to take advantage of this growth. If you go to linkagemag.com and click on the Renew button, if you already subscribe, you can get a great deal. Use the code RENEW6 for 1 year and you'll get 6 issues for the price of 4, or type in Renew 12 for 2 years, where you also have a great savings. Plus, they'll even throw in a free Linkage hat. How cool is that? The publisher of Linkage is Donald Osborne. He's been a guest multiple times here on Cars Yeah. He's become a good friend of mine, and I'll tell you, Linkage Magazine is one of those newer magazines that you're going to want to get. It's all about experiences, opinions, and values. It's a wonderful publication, something I look forward to getting. And now that I'm going to be getting 6 a year, even more special. So go to linkagemag.com. Again, use the code RENEW6 or RENEW12 to get that special deal. Do it before December 31st, 2022, so that in 2023, you'll get 6 issues of Linkage Magazine instead of 4. 20, 50, or 100 years from now, will there be a workforce to care for the collector vehicles we love? With auto shop programs disappearing across the country, it's a question we enthusiasts have to ask. That's why I support the RPM Foundation, which exists to ensure that the critical skills necessary to preserve and restore these vehicles aren't lost to time. One of the many ways RPM, which is short for Restoration, Preservation, and Mentorship, is accomplishing this goal is through workforce development initiatives. The RPM apprenticeship program enables the next generation of artisans to earn a living while they learn the craft of restoring and preserving these vehicles directly from industry professionals. The Endangered Skills Program documents the process of masters training future craftspeople on a variety of critical skills in danger of being lost forever. For more information on how the RPM Foundation is driving the future of the collector vehicle skills trade, visit RPM Foundation today. They're one of the charities of choice here on Cars Yeah. So we're back. So let's talk about John White's Ram's Head collection, because I met John about 12 years ago. My daughter and I stopped at his place and had lunch with him on our way down to her first year in college. And he walked us through his collection, and I knew he had some cool cars, but I didn't know he had so many very, very special cars. And sadly, we lost John this year. You know, he was one of those guys that was very quiet and kind of shy, but he always took his cars to events. He drove his cars. He was a wonderful man when you got to know him. And I want to talk about just a few of the cars you guys are going to be offering out of this collection. We'll start with the 57 Chrysler Ghia Super Dart. Very unique car.
Indeed. Very unique car. And, you know, back to John, he was such a gentleman, such a nice man. And we're all sad that we lost him, and likely very honored to been chosen to handle the cars from his collection. John had an eye for sort of mid-century American design and Italian design, which you know, a lot of the headliners in his collection are American chassis that were flown over to Italy and you know, designed and coach built, just like the Seata we talked about earlier. But most importantly, he really understood quality and good cars. So the cars in his collection of 13 cars are all in exceptional condition and with no sort of bogus history or anything like that. But, you know, back to the Ghia Super Dart 400, which is an incredible car. It's a one-off show car, has the massive 400 horsepower Hemi engine in it. Chrysler always wanted to make headlines and sort of compete with maybe the more traditional Ford and GM companies. So they would fly this chassis to Ghia in Torino, who then put this wild coupe body on with, you know, bigger fins, I think, than the 59 Cadillac. This was 2 years earlier.
Yeah.
And absolute unique styling through and through. And even the interior has a record player. And it's just so wild. And then it went to the Torino Auto Show, then went back on a plane to be shown at the New York Auto Show, where it was bought by the first owner, who sold it to the second owner, who would keep it for many years in Jersey and actually drive it. He would drive it on the street and kept it original, which is what's so unique. This car was shown in Pebble Beach in the preservation class. So, you know, the paint, the interior, everything is original, which is quite special on a car that is now, 70 years old or so.
Bright yellow with
yes.
a grill that wraps around, the chrome wraps around and runs down the side of the car.
Yeah.
You listeners have to go and check this out if you've never seen one of these, and you probably haven't unless you've been on the lawn or at one of the events. This thing is crazy. I mean, the front of it is like a big whale fishes, you know, the way the grill, I'd hate to clean the bugs out of that grill. I have to say that. Right.
Yeah, it's a show car. You know, it's a design study to get the headliners and everybody's attention at the auto shows, and then carry elements of it into your production cars. You know, that's what they were doing, just as they're doing today, you know.
Yep. And bright yellow. I mean, it definitely wants to make a statement. Now, another one you have is a 62 Chrysler Ghia, another one, 6.4 GS1 coupe, I guess we would call it. I mean, again, John had an eye for stuff. Tell us a little bit about this little gem.
So the L6.4, that's the 62 Ghia, also shown at the New York Auto Show car. We have this really cool photo of it with these, you know, there's these two guys standing in the background that are like, just like out of the TV series, The Mad Men. They made a few more of these. I believe they made 19 of those, but this is another car with really special styling, really wild lines, and all the luxury you can dream of inside. Also, this car is very original. The interior is original, and that's just great to see. So it's a real car that hasn't been modified or things like that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then there's a 54, another Ghia, Chrysler Ghia,
yes.
The GS1.
That's right. That's actually my favorite of the three Ghia concept cars in John's collection.
Mine
the
too.
GS1.
That color. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And just the lines, the soft sort of, that could easily have been a Ferrari from the early 50s or something like that. It's just a beautifully styled car. This car has been at Pebble Beach 3 times, believe it or not, meticulously restored. And again, big V8 up front, very capable Chrysler chassis with just a stunning coach-built body of carrosserie on it. One of 9 made, and we think there's just 5 of them left.
Well, I'll tell you, listeners can go, and I'll put links on Jacob's show notes page. You can go and see all the other cars that are available from the Ram's Head collection. There are quite a few of them. And again, John was one of those guys that had an eye for things that were very, very special. I like to ask my guests about what I call our driving inspirations. Out of this collection, or these collections, I should say, the cars you're offering, is there one or are there 1 or 2 cars that are really inspirational for you, that really stand out?
I really like the 53 Cadillac Series 62 convertible that he has, also because it's so original. The interior in that car, it's black with red interior, like an oxblood interior, and the interior is just incredible. It's been satin, it's been used. It only has 25,000 miles from new.
Wow.
It's what we call a survivor car. And I drove that car on the photo shoots, and a car that's never been taken apart just has a different feel than a car that's been all restored. That car really sort of struck a note with me. The other one who I know is very special to John is, of course, the 1948 Dodge Custom Coupe, which is a one-off Dodge that was coach-built by Durham. Durham, a U.S. coach builder of the time. And this very car was ordered by John's father when it was brand new and taken to be displayed in his showroom. So John's father was a Dodge dealer in New York City, and this car, was delivered right from the. Wow. I guess it probably went. They built the car at Dodge. It would go to Durham and then probably go back to Dodge to get the final sort of trim and everything done. And then it was on display in New York City in John's father's dealership. It was sold, and John was able to buy it back some 50, 60 years later.
Oh
so
my gosh.
I know that was always a very special car to him. So I do think that's a car that deserves to be highlighted. Very cool, coupe-looking car. Yeah.
And a lot of these vehicles are going to be offered without reserve. So that's something very special and cool too. They are going to sell. These cars are going to go home with some new owners and new caregivers. And no doubt John will be smiling down at the new caregivers because, of course, we never really own these things, do we, Jacob? We're just caretakers until the next person comes along, right?
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. But I can attest to, again, I helped with the photo shoots and was with the whole car collection have been for several days, and they're in very good shape, and they work. They're well sorted, as we say. So I do think the next caretaker will not have too many headaches of things you weren't imagining or didn't know you were running into with these. They're really exceptional cars.
Well, the great thing about John was he drove his vehicles and he used them. And that's important
Yes.
because many times people go for cars with low mileage. And I've been a victim of this. I'll say victim, but I bought a car just because it was so perfect and so low miles, but it hadn't been driven. And when you get it and you start driving it, all of a sudden you realize, oh, that was a bad idea. These things don't sit well, right?
That's right. No, they need to be exercised. That's really key, especially the original cars that sort of never been taken apart. As long as you keep them going, they will be great cars. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is this question is going to be coming, and that is, of the entire offering for the Arizona Scottsdale auction for Bonhams. I'm going to buy one of these cars for you. Okay? I'm going to come down there and bid and give it to you. Which car do you want me to buy you?
Oh, that's very, very difficult.
Yeah, but it's very kind, isn't it? I thought you were going to say you're very kind, Mark.
You are very kind. That
Okay.
is for sure.
There you go.
For doing that. I will have to go probably with the 208S Seata because I really enjoy doing the Auctioneer. I've been fortunate to do it 3 times, and I wouldn't have to ask a friend for a car. I would be able to just go along. Yeah, that's sort of, to me, it's the styling, the engineering, the history, and all of it in one car. And that's sort of, for me, that sweet spot of early 50s sports cars. That's what I really like. I really also like John's concept cars, but something that I could take on the Auctioneer, that's a key thing, and that car would fit that bill.
I think so. Those cars, to me, are like the Ferrari Barchetta.
Correct.
They have that feeling to them, very much the same look to them. And a friend of mine up here in the Northwest, who David Smith, had a beautiful one that he restored. That car that he took to Pebble and won with. And yeah, I remember seeing he and his son sitting on in Carmel when they stopped for lunch during the tour and talking with him about that car and just how special it was. And he's had some very nice cars, but he just looked at me and said, "This is something else. This is special." And he's had a really wild grill too, a very unique. Everyone was different, right?
You're right. Yep, they were all bespoke coach-built cars, and they have the French-din headlights. I mean, there's so many design details on them that when you see it in person, it's and also this car having won in Pebble Beach, it is restored absolutely perfect by Epifani, who is one of the best in the business, and it's a neat thing.
Absolutely. Well, you answered 2 questions with one because I always enable my guests to have the ultimate drive. So I guess it's going to be the Auctioneer in that Seata for you. So we'll see what we can do. I'll have to dust off my checkbook here for you. Absolutely. This is a wonderful event. And for you listeners, if you live somewhere where it's cold and it's rainy, which happens to be where I am this time of year, getting down to Arizona in January is the place to be, and Bonhams is going to be the place to be as well. Before I let you go today, Jacob, are there any parting words of advice or wisdom you might offer a listener who is going to go to an auction or would like to go to an auction, maybe has never been to an auction and wants to buy themselves a car?
Well, I would say, come early, read the catalog, but come early and see the cars in person. A lot of times when you see something in person, you really know if it's right for you or not. We offer test drives. We are there the whole week to really give potential buyers the full insight of what they're looking at. I would say that set your limit, don't get carried away, but it does happen. I mean, collector cars are for the most part a pretty emotional purchase, and we wouldn't want you to have to sell your house when you come home. So know what you're doing. And
in the words of the quintessential collector Bruce Meyer, buy the best you can and only cry once.
That's right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he has the right idea for sure. How can people learn more about the upcoming Bonhams Scottsdale auction?
So you go to our website, bonhams.com. If you put /Scottsdale, it will take you right to the preview. There you can register to bid. You can see the preview days and everything. The auction is held on the 26th of January at the Westin Kierland Resort, of course. The full catalog will be online sort of right before the holidays. So, check back in around that time and you will be able to see everything we have, which should be 100 plus cars.
Wow. Fantastic. Something to send a wish list to Santa for this year, because there's going to be something there for everybody. Jacob, thanks for coming back and spending some time and getting us all fired up for the new year. It's going to be so much fun in the desert. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you at Bonhams, Arizona Scottsdale auction.
Thank you, Mark. Look forward to it, and all the best for the holidays.
You too, my friend.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah!